Going for two, kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Going for two, sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Yeah, I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go.
We got a remix today. I remixed it for the final show.
I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving in this. Going for two, kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Going for two, sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the Armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah. Woo! This is the Armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah. Woo!
What is going on, guys, and welcome to episode 247 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Jeff Lambert. Follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. Of course, we're part of the Going for Two Live network. You can follow that at Going for Two Live on Twitter. We are live every Wednesday and Friday, but this is our last show of the year, so we'll be going live just on Wednesdays in the off season. Of course, it won't be DFS related, but of course, we're on Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube, on all major podcast networks, and in the app for Going for Two. All right, as usual, comments on Twitter are not working, so if you're listening on Twitter and you want to interact with the show, please go find us on YouTube. And guys, we didn't have a show last week, but I'm glad to have you both back here tonight. What's up, Tim? What's up, Gerson?
Oh man, I'm happy to be back. And as I put on the show sheet, there are no Packers on the main slate, so
it's a good week.
No bias here. I get to just enjoy the last slate with you guys and close out the year on a high note.
Good shit, Gerson. How you doing, man?
Yeah, you will. I bet you will close out the year on a high note. I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I can't complain. You know, finishing the year healthy. You know, family's healthy. Everything's good. So, I mean, one more day, 2022.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so we did miss last week's show for those of y'all that knew in the chat because my wife and daughter both had COVID. They are both now healthy and over it, so thankfully that went well. My wife went back to work on Wednesday. My daughter's been good since day 2, but we kept her in quarantine just in case. But everything is good now. Let's go ahead and hit the rewind.
The Weekly Rewind. Rewind.
So we didn't have a show last week, so we can't really talk about our plays from last week. But let's just, if y'all want to just kind of rewind, recap the season in general, anything you want to say as far as how this season went, we'll go to you first, Gerson.
Season was up and down, but mostly I came out profitable. So it was a good season, but I think this was a year that we saw that you didn't have to have a run back on stacks. And I think data and variances with COVID and all of this, it's just been a crazy year. But I think I've never seen so many Millie makers when it was only like 10 lineup or one lineup.
Yeah.
That proves to you how volatile GPP can be. Or like people will say, oh, this is fake. I mean, it's not. It's just hard to win. It's not easy.
Yeah, agreed. What about you, Tim?
Yeah, I was just talking with Aaron in the chat the other day about how I feel like the projections are better than ever, and that I used to say you could never just hit the optimize button and then plug that lineup in, but yeah. I feel like a lot of times this year the optimal cash lineups have been just, you know, print and go. So yeah, if you're trying to get different out there, you really have to get different these days because, you know, I think one of the biggest things this year is showdown. I think in previous years there was always that one guy nobody had that allowed you to win a showdown slate.
Yep.
And then this year there's always like 6 people that have that one guy. So best case scenario, you're splitting with 6 other people.
Yeah, agreed.
You know what I mean? I feel like that's how it's been this year.
Yeah, I think this year, as far as my recap goes, it became very like the NBA almost, where you had to wait to like right before lock because you didn't know who was going to be in, who was going to be out. We had a bunch of values that opened up like on Sundays. Usually I would just set my lamps on Saturday night, and then I would just kind of pay attention to the news. But it usually wasn't a whole lot of breaking news. But this year it was like you almost had to be in front of your computer waiting for something to happen because it was right down to the last minute. And that's kind of what I took away from this year. Was it's very similar to the NBA. Hopefully next year COVID won't be as prevalent. Let's hope, and we can get back to some regular DFS and not some waiting for the last minute to set your lineups. All right, let's get into it.
Let's talk quarterbacks.
All right, as always, we'll start here at the top, and we'll go to you first, Tim. Give me one of your top-tier quarterbacks this week.
I'm glad you went to me first because actually one of my thoughts about this season is that traditionally I feel like we always paid down at quarterback. But this year I feel like it's really benefited you to pay up at quarterback. There's been multiple weeks where you had to have Stafford, you had to have Brady, you had to have Josh Allen if you wanted to take down a big GPP. And I don't think that this week is any different. I'm starting my lineups with Matthew Stafford. He let a lot of us down last week, obviously, but I think he's going to bounce back big time here against a banged-up Ravens secondary. I don't know. Let me look at the projected total right now. I think it's right here. It's 25.5. I think it definitely is going to end up getting higher than that. That's going to be – I think they probably score at least 28, 30 points in that game. Obviously, one of his stacking options is going to be probably one of the most popular players on the slate, but he should be every week.
Yeah, agreed 100%. I definitely like Stafford this week. He's one of the guys that on my first look, I was like, all right, Stafford, lock him in because he's going to be a great play. Gerson, who do you have in your top tier?
I like that call. I think for me, it was hard because like I saw 3 quarterbacks that really stood out, but the number one guy that really stood out for me was Jalen Hurts. I know he's like kind of mid-price, but the matchup, the price, the value on him, I kind of like. I've been a big Jalen Hurts truther all year too. I mean, even Jeff knows in the offseason, I thought Jalen Hurts was going to be one of the top breakout quarterback, and he's proven it. But the matchup he had last like couple weeks ago, I mean, it's what like 2 weeks, not last week, but the week before that. I mean, he did 296 a touchdown, and he did get 2 touchdowns rushing. But let's say one of those touchdowns goes passing instead of rushing. That's what he gives you, like a ceiling, you know?
Yep.
And that was 29 points. While I think Goddard is finally coming out to be this tight end that we all wanted him to be. So give him that, give him Devontae Smith. And, I mean, it's against Washington. They're one of the worst defense in the league.
Terrible.
I mean, for a slight second, we thought, oh, maybe they're turning the table. No, they're still bad.
Yep.
So, and we saw it last week. They got slaughtered by the Cowboys. When I mean slaughtered, like, yeah. It was bad.
It was definitely bad. Here in Washington, D.C., of course, it was all the talk, and they even played some film back, and some of the guys weren't even, like, running at full speed. They weren't chasing guys down. They just kind of gave up. They were just out there playing football for some reason.
How funny is it that they brought their bench to
yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, all right, yeah, that's where you're gonna be on the bench.
Yeah, exactly. And then they got on a fight on the sideline. Yeah, just ugly, just a mess. So at the top that I have, so I also had Stafford, and I like Hurts as well. I had him in my mid tier, but I see why Gerson's got him in his top tier because he is one of the higher quarterbacks as far as projection per dollar. But I got Josh Allen going against Atlanta for 8,000. I think Allen's always in play, and I do think you got stacking options there. You got Diggs, Beasley's gonna be a popular play. I think Gabe Davis. So there's gonna be a couple stack options there. And in Atlanta, for what it is, they do have some good comebacks if you want to bring it back with Patterson or Gage. So I do like Josh Allen and his rushing upside as well. All right, let's move down into the mid tier. Tim, I'll let you go to the mid tier here. Who do you got for your mid tier?
Yeah, I'm going to give a shout-out to Scott in the chat. This week is Dakamania. as we just talked about, we watched the Cowboys absolutely crush the football team in primetime the other night. Dak looked a little bit better. He still can't run like he used to, but if he's going to put up 4 touchdowns, he's obviously going to be a guy you want to have. But the thing I looked is that his attempts are incredibly consistent. 40, 39, 37, 39, 47. This is a guy who's going to go out there and throw it 40 times no matter what. And I think against Arizona, they're going to have to. So, yeah, I love that spot Dak is in this week. I think he's got some great stacking options. And I think, I just think he's a great play this week.
Yeah,
Stackamania.
Definitely. I think at 6.7, he makes an awesome play. Gerson, who do you have in your mid tier? You had a couple guys that neither me nor Tim had. Talk about one of those two guys.
Yeah, this is where it got a little weird for me with quarterback. And I after, like I say always every show, I don't look at you guys' plays. I just put mine in, kind of like this, Every now and then I'll be like looking at Tim's defense like this, But that's it. It was Joe Burrow. I mean, I don't know. I found it so strange because in projections, in ownership, in like different websites, how they tout them and rank them, Burrow was like almost like wasn't even in the top 10 or in the top 5. And then I'm like, I can't see how he's not going to be a good play. At first, Kansas City, while Kansas City's defense has been pretty good lately, I still can't see how this game's not going to be a shootout.
Yeah.
And Vegas has it as a shootout. They have it at 49.5. So I like this game. I like the environment. Give me Joe Burrow. His price is pricey with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase being priced up. But there's a third guy named Tyler Boyd that's cheap. So, and Uzama your mama, you can make a combination and bring it back with one of the Kansas City players. But I was shocked to see his price. This guy just went out there and tossed for 525 yards and 4 touchdowns. And it could have been even a bigger game if he didn't get, I think T. Higgins dropped the ball or something like that.
They also called one back, I think, on a penalty or something.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's what happened. They got called back on a penalty. But obviously I don't expect 525 yards, but I do expect 300 yards, maybe 2 touchdowns, and some rushing upside that he's shown every now and then, 25 yards, 20 yards, But I just think that's a good game environment. And if I'm going to get him, right now the ownership is at, I believe, 4% ownership.
That's good.
I mean, that's GPP.
Yep, agreed. And you mentioned the total there. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the total's gone up. I think it's in the 51 or 51.5 now on some. Mm-hmm. So it's the Vegas agrees there. It's going to be a high-scoring game. So I agree 100% that's going to be a great play. And you're right, ownership should be higher than that. Even for people that are just chasing points, that people that that always play the guys that did good last week, you think that would bump his ownership up a little bit. Tim, you got a guy highlighted there that I want you to talk about, and I don't know if we've gotten confirmation yet. Is L. Jack's going to be out this week?
We don't know yet, but it isn't practicing. All indications as of right now is that Tyler Huntley's going to play. So I really like him. I think it was really apparent to me during that game against Green Bay that they had a great game plan for him coming in, and I think that they're going to have another great game plan for him against the Rams. But he's only 5,600. I just think that's too cheap. I think he was over 6,000 last week, even though he obviously didn't play. Getting that week off obviously helped him price-wise. So I think, this is a guy who has that 30-point upside at 5,600. Like I said, that's just too cheap. Most people are going to go the other way with Stafford. I think you can go with Huntley and get a little bit different.
Yeah, I agree. And I think y'all took all of the mid-tiers there, so I'll talk about the one value that we all have across the board. Mr. Trey Lance at 4.8 going up against Houston. We still don't know if Jimmy G's going to play or not. I highly doubt that he will. Yeah.
Only you would think Jimmy G might play because you love him so much.
It's in the news that he said he might be able to play. I'm just going to go with that. He might be able to play, but I don't think he will. I think Lance at 4.8, obviously rushing upside, obviously playing Houston. I mean, it's pretty much a scenario here where it's a perfect scenario for DFS. So Lance is going to be probably one of the more higher. I'm pretty sure he's probably the highest owned quarterback, Gerson, or is he below Stafford?
Oh, he's the highest.
He's the highest.
Yeah, and he certainly will be in cash games.
It's not even close. He's like almost 8% higher than Stafford.
Wow. Yeah, so at 4.8, I mean, Lance, that's an easy one right there. That's the low-hanging fruit, which we all have exactly the same value across the board there. There's nothing else really. Did any of y'all have anything else on Lance that I didn't already mention?
I just think his rushing upside is so high that almost just it beats his price. And it's against Houston.
Yeah.
I'm telling you this. They've allowed what was it? It was up there. Ryan McDowell put it on his show sheet, but the most running back versus running back one versus running back. But he's gonna be a running back in that game too.
Yeah.
So give me Trey Lance for sure.
Yeah, and I think it helps too if Eli Mitchell plays. He looks like he will play this week, so that gives the threat of the run pass option with Eli Mitchell back there. So I agree. I think Lance is going to be an awesome play this week.
Did somebody say tight ends?
All right, Gerson, we'll go to you first this time. Give me your top tier tight end this week.
The Mandrew, or whatever they call him, Mark Andrew. I just call him Mark Andrew. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable calling another man. But Mark Andrews. I mean, if I were a betting man and someone told me Mark Andrews was gonna be the number one tight end of the year, I don't know if I would put my money on it. I didn't see this kind of ceiling. I saw like the upside, but not this ceiling. Like, he's a monster right now, monster, and almost over 34 targets in the last 3 weeks, and he has over I believe like 30. Let's see, and he has over 29 reception and 4 touchdowns. I mean, that's amazing for a tight end. Even though his price is all the way up there, but this is the new Kelsey. This is the new, I guess George Kittle or whatever. But it's 7,400 guys. But Tyler Huntley played. I have confidence in him. He looked good last 2 weeks ago when they were together. And it's against the Los Angeles Rams. They're going to have to keep pace.
Yep.
Not only I think the only way I'd be scared shitless if Jalen Ramsey lines up on Mark Andrews. I'll be a little bit worried because Jalen Ramsey's a big boy. Yeah. And he can cover him.
Yep.
But I don't know if they're going to allow Marquise Brown to be free. And I hope Marquise Brown just a bet and has 0 points. They have a bet going on with Jeff.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that lunch. All right, Tim, who do you got in your top tier?
Yeah, I love that Andrews call. One thing I was going to mention, and like I said, with Hundley most likely starting, is he didn't even seem like he wanted to throw it to anybody else. He would just look up, find where Mark Andrews was, and just throw it in his direction. But one team that's actually given up a lot of points to tight ends lately has been the Cincinnati Bengals. And then this week they get Mr. Travis Kelce rolling into town. Obviously, he was out last week due to COVID, but 2 weeks ago he absolutely torched the Chargers for 44 DraftKings points. I think that this is a situation where this week in general, I think you're going to see some people paying up for tight end. People have seen the value this year that paying up for tight ends can get you, particularly in tournaments that give you such a ceiling that those other lower price guys just can't give you. So I love the Andrews call, but I'm also going to have some Kelce as well. I'm not saying he's going for 40 points, but I could see him and Andrews having that kind of 30-point upside that nobody really else does.
Yeah, I agree to 100%. The play that I... Oh, Gerson's watching YouTube over there. Or Pornhub, I don't know which.
It's a Snapchat. He's getting up his Snapchat score.
Yeah, that's right. Let me get my Snapchat score. Let me tell you, I'm never going to get 1 million.
So I have George Kittle, surprise, at 7.1 versus Houston. We've said it many times in the show before, young quarterbacks look for their tight ends because it's the easiest throw to make across the middle. George Kittle, of course, is the tight end that can take the short pass and take it to the house. He's just one of those guys. Always is one of the league leaders in yards after the catch. So at 7.1, I think his ownership will be down a little bit because he had a bad game last week. So I think at 7.1, I think he's still a viable play. The only other guy that I had is Gronk at 6.2 versus the Jets. It's the Jets. You can pretty much play anybody against the Jets, but Gronk at 6.2 seems like a super value for me. Tom Brady, of course, going to be throwing the ball over the field, even though they don't have all the receivers. Mike Evans, I think, is questionable now. He actually was out there running routes today, so there's a chance that Mike Evans might play.
But
but
it's looking like he might play. Yeah.
yeah, so I think Gronk is still a great play there. Let's move down into the mid tier, Tim. And who do you have in your mid tier?
Let's see. Neither one of you guys have this guy, so I guess I'll talk about another Cowboy, unfortunately, and that's going to be Mr. Dalton Schultz. This guy has really become an integral part of that offense, and one thing I like about him is I think some people are going to get scared of that little red 2 next to his name on DraftKings. People are going to think about the DBP, but realistically, Arizona's not that great against tight ends. They just don't face many good ones. In the last 2 weeks, he's had 9 targets and 8 targets. Touchdown in both games. Dak looks for this guy down near the end zone. So if you're making some Dak stacks, you definitely want to make sure you have Dalton Schultz in there as well.
Yeah, I like that call there. Gerson, what do you have for your mid tier?
Yeah, for mid tier, excuse me. Dallas Goedert. I mean, I already talked about the stack with Jalen Hurts, but Goddard has really turned it on this year. I think this is going to be the next guy that's going to pop in to be like a Kittle, Andrew, and Kelsey. Kelsey's obviously going to be going downhill. I don't know how long he can keep it up, but give me Dallas Goedert facing the Washington football team. Ooh, that was close. But he already got 135, 9 targets, 7 receptions against them 2 weeks ago. Nothing changed. If it has, it's only worse for the Washington football team. The Eagles have gotten better running the ball, moving the ball more efficient, and they're winning games. And they know they got to win games in order to make the playoffs. Right now, it's a very tight race, and I think they're just going to slaughter them. And his price is $5,100. That's very reasonable, And I don't know why people aren't playing him. Every week for the last 2 weeks, I was like, why is he only 7% owned? I expected him to be way more owned.
Yeah, I agree. And last week too, I unfortunately faded him. I don't know why I did, but I did, and yeah, I ended up paying for that one because he had a good game. My mid tier, I got Dawson Knox versus Atlanta. Atlanta's bad versus the tight end, 22 DVOA. And Dawson Knox, he hasn't been a huge volume guy lately, but he has kind of bailed you out with some touchdowns. I think he actually might lead the team in touchdowns right now. I think he has 8. But if he can get back to some of that volume against the Atlanta Falcons and get the touchdowns at 5.5, I like Dawson Knox a lot, especially if I think Sanders might be out this week too. So that's one less pass catcher in that offense. So the Knox could be a pretty decent play there. I'll go back to you, Tim. You got a couple more guys that we hadn't talked about yet.
Yeah, I think these guys are in very similar positions. That's Gerald, Everett, and Hunter Henry at 4,100 and 4,200 respectively. Those guys have pretty consistent targets and about 6 to 8 targets a week. Both of them have that kind of touchdown upside you're looking for. And I actually think that both of these guys are pretty integral to their offenses. If I had to pick one, I'd go with Hunter Henry. I'll talk about it as more as we go through the show, but I think this is a big bounce back game for the Patriots. And so I'm going to want a lot of exposure in that game.
I like it. Gerson, you have Cole Kmet as your mid tier. I want to hear what you think about Cole Kmet.
I was kind of shocked that when I was looking at after we put our plays in, neither of you guys had Cole Kmet, and I was
I had him last week and it hurt me to watch. That's why.
Hey man, you what is it we say? We don't hold grudges here. We forgive and forget.
Yeah.
I mean, like that ex-girlfriend that comes over for one night booty call,
There's only one bear worth playing, and we're going to talk about him in the next segment.
Yeah.
No, Kmet, I mean, he's coming in on almost like he's the highest ownership, so that's why it shocked me so much that you guys didn't have him. It's against the New York Giants. The New York Giants have been pretty abysmal against covering tight end. 3,400, and with Justin Fields coming back, I think he's going to go straight back to targeting him quite a bit. I just think the whole – and I hate this because last week I was was like, oh, cool Kmet. No, it's fucking Jimmy Graham. That motherfucker got a touchdown.
Yeah,
why are you still in the NFL, dude?
Yeah,
and it's funny because earlier in the season, I was on the fantasy show with Jeff and Ryan, and I was like, who the fuck is this? Jimmy Graham? He's still in this. Oh,
yeah.
Goodness, but no, Kmet, to me, it's just Justin Fields coming back. I think they're going to get right back on track of what they were doing before. And 3,400 for Kmet. he's projected for almost 11 points for me right now. My
Wow.
projection had me coming in pretty high, and I hope it pays off because right now he's at almost 14.5% ownership.
Wow.
That's a lot for a tight end.
That is a
I
lot.
mean, to give you an idea, the next tight end that right next to him is Gronkowski, and he's at 8.7% ownership.
Wow.
You're playing the wrong guy, Gerson. You need to spend $100 less and play the guy you talked about earlier in the show. That's Mr. CJ, who's your mama, at 3,300. Okay, that's the play this week against Kansas City. Not Cole Kmet. He's got much more touchdown upside than Cole Kmet could ever dream of.
Yeah, that's your value tight end, Tim.
It is. Yeah, that's where I'm going. If I'm paying down past the Hunter Henry, Gerald Everett, it's going down to CJ Uzoma.
I like it. So now we're in the value tier. Gerson, I'll go to you first. Give me one of your values.
Well, I'm not gonna steal your boy. We know how much your boy you love. You know. I'm gonna go.
Before we go on, I want to pull back the curtain and just say that we give Jeff shit for picking this guy week after week. And then the last week of the show, he still put him on the sheet. So, Jeff, thank you for sticking to your brand all the way through week 17. You're my boy.
Yep, definitely.
You know, I just imagine like that slow motion music, and then you see his boy like 6'9", however tall he is, like running after Jeff, like looking at him like, what the fuck is this guy coming out before? And Jeff like, no, I'm kidding. We need some production here, Jeff. You got to add sound effects to that, okay?
Next year.
Next year. Yeah. Guys, next year we'll be on YouTube. Just put in the, what do you call those little extra bucks, you know? No, it's Brevin Jordan. Brevin Jordan is basically, I think we mentioned this guy at least 4 times this year now.
Yep.
And each time, I swear, I'm not lying to you, he hit. Aaron called it. I called. Jeff called it. One time I called it, and he hit. And luckily, it's been on the week that he actually hit, not the week that he hadn't. But this week, he's, against the Chargers, he had 4 for 4, 56 yards. You're looking for, he's cheap. Every week, he's been cheap. He's like that little cheap candy at the candy store. 2,800 against the San Francisco 49ers. Jakir, is that his name? Jakir's Tart? The safety for you guys?
Jaquarius Tart.
Jaquiski, isn't it?
Yeah, Jaquarius. I mean, he does pretty good against tight ends every now and then, but sometimes he'll allow big plays. And that's the problem with him. Yeah, but give me Brevin Jordan. He's an athletic tight end, 2,800. I'm not paying up for tight end very much. I mean, if I'm not going to pay up for tight end, I'm going to go to him or Jeff Boyd.
Yeah, so my boy, in case y'all don't know, I know everybody in there probably knows that I like this guy, and I've liked him now for like way too long. Mo Alley Cox, 2.8 versus Las Vegas. Las Vegas, I believe, is like 26th or 27th DVOA versus the tight end. Jack Doyle hasn't officially been ruled out yet, I don't believe, but I don't think he's going to play. Hasn't practiced all week. So Mo Alley Cox last week played a season-high 90% of the snaps. So if he's doing that at 2.8 with his size and his red zone ability, I think he'll be an excellent play this week against the Raiders. All right. Anything that we missed? We got everybody for tight end?
Yep.
It's time for running backs. Running backs.
All right, so we all have the same top tier guy. So Gerson, this is your boy that you loved for forever. So we'll let you talk about him.
I'm letting you guys know, boys. CMC is no longer the king. It's Jonathan Taylor, and he's here to stay for the next 3 years in dynasty and fantasy football. And then after that, trade him away for like a first-round pick and like a stud running back and then a stud wide receiver. Okay.
As long as Gerson doesn't dress up as this guy for Halloween, everything will be okay.
Yeah.
Hey, man, Jonathan Taylor is awesome, man. This guy's awesome. Yeah, I mean, Jonathan Taylor, this guy has been the best running back in the NFL this year. After Derrick Henry we love you, Derrick Henry, we will never forget you. But after he went down, he was the best running back in the NFL. And he's proven it week in and week out. What blew my mind this week is that usually for the last couple of weeks it's always been Cooper Kupp. But Jonathan Taylor is up there. he's starting to sniff that number. But on DraftKings, you're obviously going to skew the numbers to wide receiver because of the PPR. But, excuse me, guys. I have him projected for 25.5 points.
He's getting all choked up over his boy. He's crying there. He's like, "Oops, sorry, guys. Sorry."
No, I want to burp, but I can't. No, the sad thing about this is why I'm getting so choked up because it's just my Las Vegas Raiders, man. He's going to kill them. He's going to run all over them. And one of the things I kept thinking about, I'm like, I wonder if players in the back of their head, like, they know this is only if they want to go into the record book or if they want to put a stamp. Like, other players are going to judge them on a 17-game a 17-game season, not an 18-game. And I was like, all right, is he going to go out there and probably get 410 yards? No. He's not going to break the record in 410 yards. But, if he wants to get that 2,000-yard season, he's going to have to do almost 189 yards the next 2 games, I believe.
Yeah.
Something like that. But against the Las Vegas Raiders, one of the worst run defense, they're just bad. The Raiders are bad. But 25.75 total. Okay, I get the elephant in the room. Is Carson Wentz going to play? I don't care, because if Carson Wentz doesn't play, that means they're only going to give him all the volume. They're going to go more to a running game and play defense. And if there's a team that you can play defense against, it's the Raiders, because sometimes they're hit and miss, And lately, they've been more of a miss because their defense actually been carrying them.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to be able to stop Jonathan Taylor in this game. Jonathan Taylor is going to be a good smash. And he's probably going to be one of my running backs I'm going to be locking into my cash game and everything, because I don't see another running back that really stands out for me.
Agreed. All right, so that's the top tier. Gerson just, took the only guy that we have in our top tier. So, Tim, I'll go to you in the mid-tier. Who do you have in your mid-tier?
Yeah, I think it's a big drop to the next guy. Just to kind of add one thing to that, I think when I first looked at the slate, the first thing I thought was, okay, you're going to play Jonathan Taylor, you're going to play Cooper Kupp. Can you play them together? And I think that's the real theme of this week. I think that's why Trey Lance is so popular, people trying to jam in both of those guys. Right now, I have Cooper Kupp, and I am paying down for David Montgomery. This is a guy I hate playing because he's a Chicago Bear, but his usage is just insane. Last week against Seattle, he had 21 carries. He also had 9 targets, including 7 receptions. We always kind of didn't play this guy because he didn't get that target volume. This year, he's been getting it. Last 4 weeks, 9 targets, 6 targets, 7 targets, 9 targets. If he's going to keep getting that kind of volume in the passing game, he should be over 7,000 on DraftKings. He's 6,500. Gets a matchup at home against the terrible New York Giants, who are going to be rolling out whatever giraffe at quarterback. I just don't see how he doesn't smash at this price.
Yeah, I love Montgomery this week as well for all the things that you mentioned. I think the Giants are 27th DVOA versus the run. His volume is definitely there at 6.5, and he is getting the targets. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is, he's getting targets in that passing game. So, love me some D-Mont. All right, Gerson, who do you have in your mid tier?
You say you don't love Mo Cox? I was hoping Tim put out his beer on that one.
It was close. That's very close.
No, David Monty definitely an excellent call. I think the Giants gave up on fucking. I don't even know. Actually, they gave up on everything in life. Saquon Barkley looked like he could have quit life already. No. So the mid-tier running back was very hard for me. There were so many good mid-tier. David Montgomery is the best mid-tier running back. But the other guy I like was, Jeff mentioned him early on, is Elijah Mitchell. If he plays, which I think he is, he's going to be my favorite player at mid-tier, because the Houston Texans, we've seen it. They've allowed the most running back one in the whole league. I think they allowed almost what, Jeff? It was like, oh man, I need to find that picture because I tweeted it too. So,
I think it was the Jets that had the
the Jets have the most.
Yeah, it was the Jets that were like way up. I
mean, Houston's way down at 12. I was gonna say you just stole my whole stat for Rojo, so thank you.
I did not. I didn't say it out loud like you did. But anyway, yeah. I mean, I feel like every week I target 2 defense for running back. It's the Jets and the Houston Texans. But the Houston Texans, I mean, Elijah Mitchell is going to come back. He's fresh. He's healthy. And I know. Is Raheem Mostert back?
No, he's not back.
Okay, good. Because people have been talking about him. I'm like, I don't think he's gonna play, but I think if he comes back, Elijah Mitchell, you get the clearance. He's gonna go. He's gonna start. I'm gonna have a lot of exposure to him. His price is only $6,000, and we've seen this guy get the workload all year.
Yep.
I mean, 27 carries against Minnesota, 27 carries against the Los Angeles Rams, and he found touchdown back to back before he got injured. I'll give props when it's due, and Jeff was right in the offseason. You like Elijah Mitchell, and I was wrong. I love Trey Sermon, but like I told you guys, I don't know the story behind Kyle Shanahan and Trey Sermon, but I'm pretty sure he's shitting his lunch one day.
or fucked his wife. No, seriously, like if it wasn't for Cordarrelle Patterson, right? Then Elijah Mitchell would be far and away the best kind of waiver wire pickup of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's just kind of that weird year. So I will real quick talk about the guy we briefly mentioned there, Ronald Jones. Tampa Bay gets the absolute best matchup for running backs against the Jets this week. This is the picture that Gerson was referring to. It's the flow chart tweeted out by Ryan McDowell. The Jets have given up 21 RB1 or RB2 games on the year. That's a top 24 game for running back. The next closest team is Seattle at 18. So they are far and away the best matchup. Ronald Jones actually looked pretty good last week in a pretty tough matchup against Carolina, and I think this week he gets a much better setup against the Jets. So I think Ronald Jones is kind of one of those guys. He's going to be very popular in cash. Will also be very popular in tournaments. If you're going to fade him, I hope you're stacking Brady, because either way they're going to score 30 points.
Yeah, that stat is unbelievable, because they played 15 games and they've given up 21. Yeah. So I think there was a game against Buffalo that they had 3 running backs that all were RB1 or RB2s in that game. I think Breida, Moss, and Singletary, all 3 of them had at least an RB1 or RB2 in that game. Go ahead, Gerson, what you got?
They had the return of Duke Johnson.
Yeah.
I mean, that dude's been passed around for years.
Yep.
He got one game against the Jets this season, was like, I'm back, baby! I'm back! Duke Johnson.
He's back on the NFL, oh, yeah.
Gerson, what were you going to say?
I just wanted to add to Jonathan Taylor, in case you guys didn't know, but he's in the MVP race right now. Yeah. I think if he blows up in the next 2 games, I don't think the MVP race. No, Aaron Rodgers not gonna get it. if he blows up in the next 2 games, gets 150 and 2 touchdowns, a touchdown each game, I think he might win it if the Colts go into the to the playoff. But that just adds a little bit more spice to the flavor of Mr. Jonathan Taylor. Oh, you see that rhyme?
I like it. Yeah, this year I don't think there's any clear cut, usually by this time we know who the MVP is. I think there's
absolutely.
I think there's Tom Brady, you can throw him in there, Aaron Rodgers, of course, Jonathan Taylor. So I kind of like
Derek
that. Derek Carr.
I honestly think before that Saints game, Tom Brady had a real shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy to say one game can take you out of the race, but it wasn't just that he had a bad game on national TV. It's that he threw a fit while doing it.
Yeah.
And just Aaron Rodgers, whatever, faking COVID is not even in people's mind anymore.
Don't you bash the GOAT when your fucking quarterback is over here asking for trades, putting his foot on TV. What else?
He does need to shut up about that pinky toe. He does. He needs to shut up. All right. One guy I will not shut up against this season. I have been playing him early in the season. I played him last season. I'm going to play him again this week. That's DeAndre Swift. I am so happy that this guy is back. I don't think that they're going to ease him in. Dan Campbell knows this is probably the best player on his team. Certainly one of the best offensive options he has. So, yeah, we're going to go right back to Swifty this week at 6K. As Gerson mentioned earlier, there are so many good running backs in this range. I think you're going to have to kind of pick and choose, particularly if you're going to play small, 3 max games or something like that, if you're not like Gerson where you're going to run 150 lineups. So I'm going to have a lot of Montgomery, I'm going to have a lot of Ronald Jones, and I'm going to have a lot of DeAndre Swift.
Good stuff. All right, so the only guy y'all left for me, y'all made me talk about a Seattle Seahawk, and we gave you the Bear, so y'all gave me the Seahawk. Rashad Penny at 6.1 versus Detroit. I mean, as long as this guy's been healthy, when he's healthy, he's been good. I mean, he had, 17 carries last week, 135 yards and a touchdown. 2 weeks ago, he had 16 carries. He had 135 yards rushing and a touchdown last week. Did I read that wrong?
No, I thought you said 70 carries. I'm like,
No, 17. 17 carries.
God damn.
If he had 70 carries, we would all be on him. But yeah, 6.1 versus Detroit. Seattle doesn't have much left to play for right now, so they want to see, kind of evaluate their team. Is Penny going to be the running back next year? We don't know, but I do think they give him the workload again against Detroit. Can't pass that up. All right, let's move down into the mid-tier. Actually, I want to mention we had one more guy that we hadn't mentioned. I'm just going to mention his name, and that's Sony Michel. Obviously, Henderson is going to be out for the rest of the season, so Sony Michel becomes a great play there in the mid-tier as well. Gerson had him on his list. Tim,
his price is so cheap too.
Yeah, his price is down there. And then Chase Edmonds, if Connor's out, Tim also had him in there. I do think he's also viable. We saw what he can do last week. All right, let's move down into the value tier, and I'll go to you first, Tim.
Yeah, I only have one guy of value. This guy's going to be popular, Devin Singletary. This is a guy, the beginning of the season, people were really down on. Zach Moss is going to take this game. They brought in your boy Matt Breida for a couple games. Looked like he might take this job. But Devin Singletary's not giving up this job, man. He played 90% of snaps last week, even with Zach Moss in the game. He's had, 20 carries 2 weeks ago. He had, 18 touches last week, $5,400, and he gets a home matchup against Atlanta where they're 10-plus point favorites. So, yeah, I don't see how Devin Singletary, they're 14.5-point favorites. I don't see how Devin Singletary doesn't smash in this game at $5,400. I think he realistically could, 4x, 5x that salary. And that's obviously what you're looking for in tournaments. So, yeah, I think this is somebody who probably should be closer to 6,000 with his current usage.
Yeah, it's funny because when I saw him on your list, I hadn't really been playing him much, so I had, I don't own him in any of my dynasty leagues either, so I had to go back and look at what he was doing. I was like, oh, okay, that's why he got him on his list, because he has been playing pretty well lately. He's been getting the workload as well, so I like that call a lot. Gerson, what do you have in your value?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I almost didn't list the value because I wasn't even that much confident in listing this guy. But if Jordan Howard is out, because I don't know what they've been confirming lately, he had a stinger. And if he's out, I'm gonna have a lot of Boston Scott. But Here's the way I put it: I think if he's out, the core running back is gonna be Monty, Taylor, and Scott. I think that's what a lot of people will be doing. Maybe Elijah. I'd rather have Elijah Mitchell over Monty. I'll be honest with you, but that's just me. But if they do that, if they say Howard is out, what's his name?
Miles Sanders.
Sanders is out.
Yeah, he's definitely out.
I mean, he broke his hand. I mean, motherfucker had a good game for 2 games, and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
Yeah, Gainwell's going to play, but that's the only other guy who's going to be in that backfield probably.
Yeah, for some reason they prefer Scott on the goal line for some reason. I don't really know why. He's a smaller guy, but they always put him in the goal line, and he seems to be able to score touchdowns. So
he can find the holes, man. That's what it is. It reminds me of kind of to a lesser extent, Maurice Jones-Drew.
Yeah.
I know. Okay, shut up, Gerson. You know what I'm talking about, okay? Son of a bitch.
It's the last show of the year.
That's the thing, is that Boston Scott always finds the right hole, and that's why they put him in.
There you go.
Seems like he's Seki. I'm telling you guys, all the inside jokes are coming in right now. This is the last show.
It's the last show. Put our stamp on it. Yeah, Scott at 4.9 versus the Washington defense. We already mentioned how bad they've been playing lately and how they got embarrassed last week on national TV. So, yeah, 4.9. I love me some Boston Scott.
Hey, before we move on,
and now, wide receivers.
Sorry, Tim.
No, all I was going to say is I see Antonio Gibson be really popular this week. None of us had him. I think that's a smart call. I think he's a fade.
Yeah, I agree 100%. All right, so we all have the same receiver in our top tier. I'll give this guy to Gerson since he's been on him pretty much all season as well. Give me your thoughts on Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, 2 Cup, 1 girl, still the best porn show out there. Kidding, guys, don't ever look that shit up. Yeah, Cooper Kupp. I mean, this guy, can we just call him what Wes Welker wanted to be? You know, or what? No, it's not what Julian Edelman wanted to be. Wes Welker was pretty damn good. What Julian Edelman wanted to be. I mean, Julian Edelman he's a fucking G. Like he got put that out on Twitter and he goes 3 Super Bowl rings. I was like, damn. But Kupp, I mean, he killed it this season. If you drafted Cooper Kupp and you're not in the championship,
you did something wrong.
Yeah, you weren't. Yeah, it's pretty easy. Unless you got, but then injuries were big this year.
They were.
Cooper Kupp probably has the highest floor I've ever seen as a wide receiver for this season. You know, like this guy last week. I was playing him in fantasy football season, fantasy football, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's really gonna get 20 points, even though he was off to a bad start. He ended up getting 25 points in my league. But he got 24 points, 13 target, 10 reception, 109 yards with no touchdown. That's basically a bad Cooper Kupp game, you know?
Yeah.
And in game environment against Baltimore, which we just saw T. Higgins, not Cooper Kupp, T. Higgins go for like 44 points on them.
Yeah.
You know? I can only imagine what Cooper Kupp's going to do. And the craziest thing is my projection has him for almost 30 points.
Wow.
I've only seen that happen 3 times. One of them was with Jonathan Taylor, one of them was with Cooper Kupp, and one of them was with Devontae Adams. Yeah. And what do we know? We got Cooper Kupp again.
Yeah.
And 9,500. That's a hefty price to pay for, but you're going to want to pay for it because I think I'd rather have him over Jonathan Taylor, and that's saying a lot because I love Jonathan Taylor. But like Tim said earlier on, how can we make them both fit?
Yeah.
And I can make them fit against Baltimore. That defense is abysmal on the pass defense. So give me Cooper Kupp, Stafford. I think you guys are going to be pretty shocked. Like, there are going to be a lot of people trying to make that work, and you have to put Cooper Kupp in there.
The way you make him fit is you use Boston Scott because he can find the right hole. That's how you make him fit.
Right.
Exactly right. That was not a dad joke. That was a Jeff joke.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Cooper Kupp. I hope he has 2 really good games because about week 8, week 9, I put $100 on him breaking Calvin Johnson's record at plus 450. So if he can get, I think he's like 230 yards short. So he needs 115 this week and 115 next week, and he breaks it, and I'll earn a nice chunk of change there. Tim, you got one guy in your top tier that neither me nor Gerson have, but I do like this guy. Talk about Diggs.
Yeah, I mean, let me put it this way. Like, this is Cooper Kupp. For those who can't see me, I'm holding it way above the other hand, right? There is a massive gap between Cooper Kupp, in my opinion, his ceiling this week, and almost anyone else, and that includes Tyreek Hill. But the guy that I actually want to play this week, if I'm going to pay down a little bit, is going to be Stephon Diggs. He started a little bit, slower earlier in the year. People were like, "Oh my God, he's still the same thing." Over the last 3 weeks, he's had 2 weeks with 13 targets. Whatever his connection with Josh Allen, seems to be right back on track. Seems to be the only guy in that who's been healthy consistently, and he gets a dream matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. I've talked about this earlier with Singletary. This is one of my favorite games on the week. We always pick on the Atlanta Falcons with quarterbacks and wide receivers as well. He could realistically go over 100 yards, get a couple touchdowns, and end up outscoring Cooper Kupp, and you save, $1,600 or whatever it is. So I still think Kupp is a much better play. He projects much better, which makes him a much better cash play. But if you're doing stacks and tournaments with Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, I think that's a good way to go.
Yeah, I like Diggs a lot as well. All right, let's move down into the mid-tier, Gerson. Who do you have for your mid-tier receivers?
Damn, that's a good call because he's on my radar in my projection, but not on my list. Yeah. That's for sure a good call. Can we go to, you said mid-tier, right?
Yeah, go to the mid-tier.
Okay. I'm just gonna go straight back to the chalk player of the week. It's gonna be Mr. Antonio Brown, Mr. Can we just get to football, please? I just want to talk about football. I don't want to talk about how I'm a fucking idiot and fuck up my life and get signed, and then all of a sudden fake a fucking vaccinated card. You idiot! This guy, if there was ever a thing in the NFL second chances, it's definitely Antonio Brown. But that's the guy I'm talking about, by the way, Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown. I said it last week on our chat row. Antonio Brown is like a freak player.
He was.
And it paid off. I had Antonio Brown in 100% of my lineup. And it paid off, kind of, until other quarterback stack decided to be Matthew Stafford. Not trying to say anything. But he got 23 points, 15 target, 10 reception, 101 yards. That's without a touchdown. If he would have gotten a touchdown, dude, he would have smashed. He would have gotten 30 points, you know?
Is there any worry about the ankle? Because he missed practice today. I haven't heard anything. They downgraded him to out for practice. No worry there. Just veteran day.
So I'm one of those guys that I wait till Friday report.
Mm-hmm.
I wait till Friday report because they don't really. Hey, on Saturday, you know what they do? They just talk about what they're gonna do.
Yep, just a walkthrough.
Friday,
it could be a veteran rest day is often Wednesday, so I'm not surprised by that at all.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's nothing there.
I thought you were going to ask if I'm worried about Mike Evans. I'm not worried about Mike Evans. I don't think Mike Evans will play this week, to be honest with you.
I don't see why they would play him. It doesn't make any sense to play him, honestly.
Yeah. They're in the playoff. Tom Brady doesn't care if he's a wild card. Tom Brady doesn't care if he's he does care to have a week off because he's old as shit. But no, give me Antonio Brown against the New York Jets. They're not going to – that's the thing. Why would you rush Mike Evans back against the New York Jets? You're going to beat them no matter what.
There's no reason to bring him back.
I bet the Buccaneers could run the ball 50 times, even though I'm not trying to say they should run the ball because I'm advertising Antonio Brown. But, and they still beat the Jets. But I think AB, his price is still too cheap. This guy should be like 7.2K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, where Godwin usually was, right? That 7 to 7,200. That's where he should be. I completely agree. Too cheap.
Yeah. So give me AB 6,100. I'm gonna have a lot of him again. I think and people are gonna be scared of that too. I'm telling you right now, people are gonna be like 6,100 for a guy that was just 4,900 last week. I don't know about that, dude. I don't care. Tom Brady didn't even have a good game last week.
Yeah,
it was a shitty game for him. And I think people are gonna be looking at Tom Brady's game last week. But you're playing the New York fucking like the goddamn Jet.
All right, Tim, who do you have in your mid tier?
All right, this may be one of my more controversial takes, but I think there's a good chance that Cooper Kupp does not come through this week. I think that a couple weeks ago we saw the Ravens make a lot of effort to try and take Devontae Adams out of the game, and I think that they're going to make a similar effort to take Cooper Kupp out of this game. They're going to bracket him. They're going to keep him with double coverage, and I think that could end up with a huge game for either Odell Beckham or Van Jefferson. So I'm going to go ahead and take Odell Beckham. I think it's going to be a huge Beckham week. Knees and elbows is back. I think it's going to be similar to what we saw last week with T. Higgins. He gets a bunch of single coverage down the field against a bad corner. Cooper Kupp is stuck in double coverage, and one of these other two guys just runs wild. So I'm going to be playing Kupp in cash. I think, like I said, he projects incredible, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if he ended up having a 9 for 90 type game, doesn't get the touchdown, doesn't give you even 2.5 times value, and one of these guys puts up 20, 25 points and ends up being the much better play. So
yeah, it's a great leverage play because everyone's been playing Kupp.
Exactly. Yep.
I like it. All right, so my mid-tier guy I want to talk about, Gerson mentioned earlier that he was wrong on Trey Sermon. I was wrong on this guy. I actually passed on him in a lot of my leagues. Mr. Jalen Waddle at 6.7. He's actually on pace to break the record for a rookie for most receptions in a season. I think he's going to be passing Anquan Bolden. At 6.7, he's been a target monster going against Tennessee, whose Tennessee's defense has not been that good this season. So at 6.7, I think he's still too cheap. I mean, he's getting 12, 13 targets a game sometimes. So yeah, Jalen Waddle is an awesome play for me, and he's one of those guys that can get you your value without scoring a touchdown because he just gets so many receptions and yards. So yeah, at 6.7, I think he's a great play. We'll go back to you, Gerson. Give us a couple of your guys really quick so we can get through these because we got a bunch of mid-tiers.
So I just want to say that on my Dynasty rookie and my rookie call, I said Jalen Waddle was the third best wide receiver. Second, I'm just kidding. No. One guy that I was shocked to see the price on is Christian Kirk.
Yeah.
Against Dallas, while people might think that the Stephon Diggs' brother, Travion Diggs, is an elite cornerback. He's a ball hawk guy, but he really does allow a lot of yards to wide receivers. He allows a lot of plays to them. Christian Kirk, 5,800, great price, and they're going to have to keep up with Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I like it. Tim, talk about one of your guys.
Yeah. All right, I'll talk about the guy you don't have, and that's Tyler Lockett. I think this could be a Tyler Lockett game. Last week, I was really big on Kyle Pitts because of the way that he kind of lines up in his kind of target tree. I think that's exactly what we're going to get this week with Tyler Lockett against Detroit. I think that he's going to, get probably, he's going to get the targets he's been seeing, 6, 9, 8. He's going to get that same volume, but he's going to be getting it, 20 yards down the field. I could easily see one of those 8 for, 120 type games for Tyler Lockett. And then obviously if he gets a touchdown, he absolutely smashes. So if you remember what Kyle Pitts did last week, that's what I think Tyler Lockett does this week against the same Detroit Lions defense.
Good call. The last guy I have in my mid-tier, I've been calling him Jalen Waddle Light. Mr. Amon-Ra St. Brown has really come on the last 4 weeks. He's been a target monster.
God.
Yeah, the sun god, exactly. He's going up against Seattle. Their defense has not been good all season. And even if, it doesn't matter what the quarterback is. What was that?
Just keep going.
Oh, I don't know.
Why did they call him that?
Because that's, Amon-Ra is that's what it is. It's, if you look it up, Amon-Ra, it's a sun god. That's why they call him that, Amon-Ra. That's like a Egyptian something. But yeah, anyways, it's at 6,000 against Seattle. Target monster, very similar to Waddle. He can reach value without having to score a touchdown. And it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. I didn't play him last week because the quarterback changed, and it kind of burned me because he still had a really good game last week. All right, let's move down into the value tier. And Gerson, you don't even have a value, so I'll go to you, Tim.
I was originally going to use this guy as my sit call until Gerson told me no, and that's going to be Mr. Jacoby Myers. My sit call is that Jacoby Myers gets his second touchdown on the year, but since he's a value, I'm just going to say that he's going to get you like 6 for 60 and a touchdown and pay off that 5.1K salary. As I mentioned.
Whoa. I didn't say he wasn't a value. I said Jacoby Myers got a touchdown.
No, I know. I'm just saying. Yeah, I agree with you, though. I mean, he doesn't get touchdowns. He gets volume. He doesn't get touchdowns. But this week, he gets you a touchdown.
Okay.
I really like Jacoby Myers. That's my point.
I love it. All right, the guy that I have here, this is more like a makeup game from last week because I was all over Gabe Davis last week. I think he was like 4.2, 4.3. I had been all my lineups. Of course, then he got ruled out. Couldn't play him. So I'm going right back to him. I'm hoping that Sanders does miss this game. That puts Gabe Davis right there. And he's been their red zone guy. Josh Allen has targeted him more than other receivers there in the red zone. So versus Atlanta at 5,000, I think Gabe Davis has a big game this week. And Tim, I want to get your thoughts on this because you have Beasley on your list as well. What are your thoughts on?
I do. I think part of it is just how they match up against Atlanta because Beasley's going to be running so much out of the slot and he tends to play better at home. But you're right. I had Gabe Davis as well because his red zone usage just gives him such a high ceiling that I'll take it even over the target volume that Beasley gets. So I think both are good plays. I mentioned earlier how much I like Diggs. I like multiple of these stacks. So I think they're all good plays.
All right.
But Gerson, if I had to pick one gun to my head, I'd rather have Gabe Davis.
Fair.
Just for the upside.
Gerson?
I will say this. I don't have a value wide receiver because I forgot about that. But 17 weeks in, I'm still figuring this shit out. But off the top of my head, I thought it was a good one. You ready for this one?
I'm ready.
Elijah Moore.
Okay.
I think Elijah Moore, if he plays and he still has that questionable tag, he might play or whatever. I think he will play though. They're saying it's a 50-50, but I think he will play against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If he plays, he can be a great value at 5,200.
I like it.
We saw what he did when he he was healthy for the last when he was healthy. I mean, he had 10, 13, 27, 13, 32, 20 points. I mean, if you give me 32 points and he was 4,900, 32 points at 4,900, that's smashing value. That's 6.7 times value, and it was against Miami. But Buccaneers' pass defense is not as great as the run defense. Obviously, we know the way you're going to beat the Buccaneers is through the passing game, not going to be through the run game. So give me Elijah Moore. That's my value.
All right, I like it. I'm just mention the guys that we didn't get to. Gerson had T. Higgins at his mid-tier. I do like T. Higgins this week as well. I had Keenan Allen at 7.5 just because I basically permanently leave him in the mid-tier. He's just always there. I just realized, too, my mid-tier is all made up of guys that can get your value without having to score a touchdown. Keenan Allen, Jalen Waddle, and Amon-Ra St. Brown are all target monsters. So that's my mid-tier.
We didn't mention Brandon Cooks either, but I wanted to mention him real quick as well.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, Brandon Cooks is another good one.
Everybody always forgets about Brandon Cooks.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right, this is the last time we'll use this drop, and this is Tim's favorite drop of the year.
Defense, 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 defense.
All right, Tim, what are we playing for defense this week?
So I cannot tell you how happy I was when the Panthers came out and named Sam Darnold the starting quarterback for this week. I even went on Twitter and said, check, I will be playing the Saints defense at 3,400. All year long, I've been telling you guys, you pay up for defense, even a few $100s, it can make a huge difference. Last week, I paid up a few $100 extra up to the Cowboys defense. They got me 16 points and it allowed me to cash. I think this is another week you want to pay up a little bit for defense. If you can get up to the Saints at 3,400, they're my favorite. The Bears at 3,200 are also good. And then if you really, the cheapest I would go in that range is going to be the Colts at 2,900.
All right. Gerson, real quick, what defenses you have that we hadn't talked about yet? Any of them?
Don't go to me. Just keep going to Tim.
I did you like yours, though, Jeff?
Yeah, so that's the one that I had there because I knew you'd go with most of the chalkier ones that I think will play this week. But Detroit Lions at 2.4 versus Seattle. We know Seattle hasn't been very good this year, and they give up a lot of sacks. And the one thing that the Lions can do is get to the quarterback. So I do think they get some sacks this week, which is what I'm looking for a cheap defense. Give me sacks. Give me the potential of an interception. And at 2.4, you can fit a lot in. I wouldn't have a ton of exposure to them, and I don't think I'm going to be playing them in cash like I normally pay down in cash. I think I'm going to go with Tim's defense there as a Saints in cash. But I think if you want to pay down, you need an extra $1,000. I think the Lions are viable this week as well.
Hey, one last thing. It's tough to find the extra cash this week, but if you want to get different in tournaments and you can find the extra money to get up to the Patriots, I absolutely love the Patriots defense against 3,900. Belichick traditionally has killed rookie quarterbacks, and I don't think, we've seen how turnover-prone Trevor Lawrence can be. Yep. He holds the ball for entirely too long, give up a ton of sacks. I wouldn't be shocked at all if the Patriots put up like a 20, and if you get a 20 on defense, you have massive, massive leverage in a GPP. So
agreed.
If you can find the money to get up to the Patriots in tournaments, I love that as an option.
And something you said mid-show, too, kind of goes in hand-in-hand with this about the line that moved. Talk about how much that line moved.
Yeah, so we don't usually see line movement like this. Like even the Bills we saw move 6 points. Usually, unless a quarterback is ruled out, you usually don't see something like this. But the Patriots opened as 5.5-point favorites. They're now 16.5-point favorites. That line moved 11 points in Patriots' favor. So I don't know that I've ever seen something like that without multiple injuries. Like that when Kendall Hinton started last year
right.
for the Denver Broncos, I still don't think the line moved 11 points. So obviously Vegas is with me. This is going to be a big game for the Patriots.
Agreed.
Goingfor2.com's weekly stack report.
All right, I'm going to go to you first, Tim, because Gerson has basically the same stack as you, but you had it on the sheet first, so I'll give you first crack at it.
He did. He stole my stack. No, it's going to be Matthew Stafford.
Like I said, when I look at the sheet, that's what I did. What do you want me to do?
No, you're right. No, I said it from the top of the show. My favorite quarterback this week is Matthew Stafford. It's the revenge tour against the Ravens. So it's going to be Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham, and bring it back with Tyler Huntley's favorite target, Mark Andrews.
I like it. That's going to be a very popular stack, and I like the OBJ mixed in there as well. Gerson, what's your stack?
Kind of like, no, I'm just kidding. It's Stafford, Higbee, Cup, and Bateman. And Tyler Huntley, like, Bateman didn't do all that great, but yeah, I think that's my stack, and I'm trying to the cheaper route, you know.
Yeah.
Because Tim went the expensive route. I went the cheaper route. I went like the thrift store, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thrift store version.
The rest of my lineup is definitely going to be more uncomfortable. I'll tell you that much.
All right, so my stack this week. My stack is Josh Allen, and then you can pick either Gabe Davis or Diggs, or you can get both of them in there possibly. And then the comeback, I kind of went back and forth. Pitts is there. Obviously, Russell Gage has been pretty good recently.
You had CPAT in there to start, didn't you?
I did. But then I saw that he didn't practice today, so now I'm worried about him not playing this week. So, but any of those three, CPAT, Pitts, or Gage, pick one of them. I think all three of them are viable against this Buffalo. The defense is really good, but they're going to throw a bunch. So I think that any of those three guys are going to be good. All right, it's time for the final sick call of the year.
And now, the sick call of the week.
All right, Tim, we're going to go to you on your sick call.
Yeah, with all the COVID stuff going around, this sick call is more relevant than ever. I've been taught, first of all, recap real quick. Gerson, who's not currently here, finally hit on a sick call after several weeks by sticking with one of my Green Bay Packers 2 weeks ago, Alan Lazard. So good job there, Gerson. I've talked about them all show. They're going to be one of my favorite stacks in tournaments this week. That's going to be the Patriots. And we're going to start with quarterback Mac Jones, the guy that Jeff is going to wish was his quarterback for many years to come, even though he really didn't want him just, 8 months ago. So it's Mac Jones week, everybody. Get some or miss out.
All right, I like it. Gerson's back just in time to talk about his sick call, and I didn't even know who this guy was. I had to ask Tim who he was when I saw the name down there, Gerson. So your call is pretty sick here. Give me your guy.
What? Come on, you're a dynasty guy, bro. You know who this guy is.
I've seen his name, but when I saw it on the sheet, I couldn't figure out who it was. In my head, I couldn't place him.
He looks like his name looks like an actor's name.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, he's a human being, okay, guys? Let's not judge. Antoine Wesley, he's 6'4", 206 pounds. One of the things about him is basically he's that guy that's trying to make it in the NFL, right? But if you really look at how he's been doing, Mike Clay talked about this when he first blew up. Not even blew up, he did okay, you know. And to me, it's just I'm like, damn, dude, do I really want to talk about him? Even as a sick call, when you have to think about it as a sick call, you're like, damn. But Antoine
this week was
Wesley,
very sick, so we'll give you
3,600, and he got 4 targets, 2 receptions. He got a touchdown last.
Did you give his name yet? Did you give his name?
Yeah.
Antoine Wesley.
Okay, I didn't hear you say his name yet.
Oh, Antoine Wesley. So basically, you got 4 targets, 2 receptions, 26 yards, but that one touchdown basically made his value.
Made his day.
The way I put it, you're playing the Dallas Cowboys. They just dropped 179 points last week, you know, in just 3 quarters. In case people don't know, no, I'm kidding. Don't look at that. But to me, this is the sickest it gets. When Jeff doesn't even know what the sick call is.
Yeah, I definitely didn't know who that was. All right, so my sick call is by far.
We all unfortunately know who Jeff's sick call is.
Yeah, we know.
Anybody who drafted him this year.
Yes, so I'm gonna say my sick call is probably the most talented sick call we've ever had. At 3.8, Mr. Allen Robinson. It's crazy to be putting him as a sick call, but he's been so bad this year that he's fallen to 3.8 versus the Giants. It's really just banking on his talent. It's got to show through eventually. You know, they have to get him somewhat involved. He's going to be a free agent after this year too, so he's going to want to try to show out. He's on the franchise tag at 3.8 against the Giants. I just hope, give me one game, Allen Robinson. Just give me one game. That's all I want at 3.8. Super cheap.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, before I want to give a special shout out to Justin Herbert last week, who, even though he was getting killed by the Texans, still went out there for one last garbage time drive, got a touchdown to Josh Palmer to put him over 300 yards, and still come through for everybody who didn't play Matthew Stafford last week. So thanks, Herbert. We appreciate it, man.
Nice.
Why you gotta be like that, Tim? Why you gotta be like that?
Good stuff. All right, fellas, that is our last show of the year. It's a little sad. I think the next time I'll have Tim and Gerson on the show, it'll be for our annual NFL draft show. Yeah,
yes.
Which we look forward to every year. So that'll probably be in the March, April-ish range. So be on the lookout for that. And then we got a lot of good things coming up for GoingFor2.com in the off season here. We've got a bunch of new shows we're gonna be putting on. I'm bringing on some new writers, got some things going on, so definitely pay attention to all that stuff, guys. Gerson, let's go to you first, man. Give me your final sign-off for the year.
Well, I promised you guys a 12-pack, or 12 beers. I can't say anything better than like every Friday night or Thursday today. Just having a good time with you two guys, Tim and Jeff. I mean, this is what I look forward to every Friday night. Not the bars, not the club, not the strippers.
That comes after. That's after the show.
No, but it's just always a great time, and I want to thank all of our followers. And I could go on and on and on. Jared, Scott, Alex. There's a lot of guys on YouTube, like a lot of our followers.
Yeah.
We had Joe, and I could keep going on and on, but like all the guys, everybody that followed us, thank you for everything you guys, and the Going for Two family. It's been a great season, and honestly, I wish you guys all Happy New Year. 2022, we're gonna kick ass and take names again.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully, someone out there wins a Millie Maker.
Let's do it.
Not me. I hope it's you. But look, Tim. Don't get emotional now, man. Tim, don't get emotional. I'm getting emotional, man. Don't do this to me.
I just want to echo what Gerson said. We can't tell you how much we look forward to all of your comments, all of your replies, your YouTube. We look forward to this every week. Gerson, Jeff, and I, we've all had big changes in our personal life this year, but we always found a way to come together to do this show for you guys every week because it means so much to us. So thank you all for tuning in. One last personal plug for me. It is the last week of my Roundtable Arena tournament. I want to try and expand it this year. I'll be doing a lot more promotion. I want to double the size of this tournament for next year. So if you want to get involved, get at me at Twitter at Keto06 or on the Facebook at the DFS Armchair Roundtable group.
I like it. Yeah, guys, this show is definitely, I'm going to give the listeners here a peek behind the curtains. Usually when we sign off on Friday nights, we talk for another hour to an hour and a half after the show. And it's almost like therapy because we're all just talking about our lives. And it's been awesome. I mean, I've been with these guys now, I think 5 or 6 years we've been doing this show. It's kind of crazy to think that. And it's a show I look forward to every week. I love doing this show. It's a lot of fun, and obviously all the followers we have. Thank you all for hanging with us every night. It's pretty late for the East Coasters. It's already 11:45 where I'm at. So if you're on the East Coast, you're definitely staying up late to watch us. I appreciate everything that y'all do. And for the last sign off, for Gerson, for Tim, I'm Jeff. Everybody have a happy New Year and good luck this weekend.
One last time, go Pack, go, baby.
Peace.